and stay for 4 years, begin to monitor the turnover in that particular sector to see if it's yielding the required goal. And how long will the people who will be beneficiaries of this scheme be able to pay back? And what is the policies that is put in place to make sure that it is no money to settle the boys? And you know, in Nigeria, let me say it, in Nigeria, once money gets to people's hands from the government coffers, it's settlement. This is our time. And nobody monitors it. You hear the federal government now saying we are bringing on another identification registration platform where people are going to now register for how many identity cards will the government be working with. You go to the banks now, some of them will tell you that NIN is no longer in vogue, but people are spending money to obtain the NIN. So which of these national identifications are the governor going to use in capturing those that will be beneficiaries, so that the monies will be monitored, so that after 1 year, after 6 months, you monitor the impact the 200 million has played in that particular sector. But you know what will happen in Akwa Ibom State? The governor will just throw this money up, and anybody that scrambles for it and got, maybe you know one SSA, you know one ward chairman and the ward secretary and all that. That is how these monies go.
We cannot be sure because he just made an announcement.
You see,
let's see how the process.
This is politics. What I'm doing here is to, to tell them the way it ought to be, so that there will be proper monitoring and checkmating, and also recovering or paying back for this particular loan, so that other people will be beneficiaries.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you. Esquire, sir, do you agree with him when he said that 200 million naira is not enough as a loan scheme for the Akwa Ibom people?
Yes, I quite agree with Mr. Ugochukwu, because considering the economic realities of today, 200 million naira for a particular goal.
Sure.
So, just like he mentioned, what is the goal of this loan? Where is it targeted at? Is it targeted at ICT? Because if you look at what is happening today in the world, people are going into soft skills, data analytics, AI, and all that. So, if I were to be Governor Eno, I would look at channeling this loan to soft skills for the youths. With that, you will be empowering a generation.
Yes.
So not throwing out 200 million naira as a loan scheme. Loan scheme for what? Maybe it's the usual share the money we see in Nigeria. So I think he has made an announcement. Let's believe God that Pastor Enon will put up the right monitoring and evaluation together, because if they don't do that, the money will just disappear and there will be nothing to show for the loan. So I would rather advise that Governor Eno should channel this money to either training the youths on AI or data analytics or computer cyber security, or even agriculture, because at this time Nigeria is just grappling with food security. We don't have enough. So why not look at...
We don't even have enough.
So look at the farmers and try this loan on them, instead of just throwing the loan around.
And you know, when you talk about channeling a patri sum, I call it patri because when they want to cheat us in Nigeria, when they sit at the round table to milk us, they can't be talking about sharing 200 million.
At all.
They can't be talking about it. If politicians cannot sit on a round table, even 2-3 people, talking about losing sleep because of 200 million in Nigeria. So this particular loan, let it not be for maybe handout for market women. They just go there, share it in one particular You're talking about billions if you want to achieve something in ICT. You're talking about, you know, bringing up the system of Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, and making the power sector stable, because those appliances you're going to use in running ICT should be 24 hours powered. So that the aim will be achieved. It's not running on diesel and all that. So, and this particular money, if you give it to people, maybe those who are doing barbering salon, who are into hairdressing, who are those entrepreneurs, those who are into welding, it will not even get to them where they could be able to buy diesel and petrol to run their businesses. So I advise him to channel it into agriculture, where you know that though as paltry as it is, people can have food sufficiency. And also he looks at the businesses that thrive at the waterways in his state, where he has competitive advantage. You know, push it to the people, to the fishermen, and you know, trying to provide life jackets, and the people that makes their day-to-day living through that particular area. You know, so that once you secure that place, you have secured the future of at least 15% to 20% of cross-riverinians, so that at the end of the day, before you know it, you gradually are making an inroad into the economy that, you know, is what your state is really known for at the end of the day.
All right. Hoodlums have reportedly set ablaze Governor on Youth Mobilization and Empowerment, Mikinim Moses, has condemned the attack on the residents of Aku, who is the first civilian governor of the state. He decried the destruction of numerous property worth millions of naira, saying the situation was savage and unacceptable, and tasked security agencies in Boko to take urgent steps to stop further attacks. Esquire, sir, I'd like to know what you think about this situation. You know, we've had a few cases of people who have held power in Nigeria, you know, getting attacked within the country after they've left office. I'm not just talking about politicians, I'm talking about even civil servants in different parts. We've had issues like that happen after they've left offices. It's normal for a public figure to once in a while get hit by, you know, people who are disgruntled, or for some reason they get hit on.
They are not disgruntled, they are dissatisfied. That's the disgruntled, no, because they are holding something that is meant for us, or was meant for us, and now they are moving. Yes,
they are not happy. People can never be truly. There's always going to be conflict, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
So what can we do? What do you think it is important for security and extra protection of some sort to be provided to past office holders in Nigeria?
Yes, thank you very much. Ordinarily, nobody has the right to attack anyone and also cause mayhem on anyone's property. If you look at the law, section 443 of the Criminal Code criminalizes that action, arson, and it's punishable with life imprisonment. So you see, arson, it's a very serious felony in Nigeria today. Yes, I can agree with you. A lot of people may be aggrieved over whatever reasons best known to them, but the proper way would have been to resort to the lawful means of, you know, showing your grievances. If the man is holding public funds, if you have evidence, go to the security agencies and possibly do a petition. You do not have, nobody have the right to barge into his properties and set it ablaze. So every right-thinking Nigerian will urge the security agencies to go after those who committed the arson, prosecute them, so that all others will learn. It will serve as deterrent to our erring youths. So the youths, in whatever guise, shouldn't have embarked on such unlawful acts. It is very, very unlawful. I join all Nigerians whom are condemning it, and also use this medium to caution our youths. Instead of embarking on such, please engage. They should engage in meaningful activities. And also, the leaders, this is a sign that when you are given a responsibility of that magnitude, a governor or a senator or reps or even a commissioner, even to the extent of a local government chairman and councillors, they should take the responsibilities very serious. You see, in Nigeria, we find it very disturbing how these politicians arrogate so much powers to themselves, and they forget that we, the people, gave them these votes, and that we also have the right to withdraw the votes when they come next time. So Nigerian leaders should learn. It's really a sign. We are not saying what they did to Aku, it's a good one, no, because it's unlawful.
Now, according to this story, the reason behind the attack is a very funny reason. The reason is that, according to Aku's daughter, that a young man came in and said that his goat
drank water from the compound.
Yes.
And went out and died.
Exactly.
Another goat came and was missing.
He came warning that if his goat dies, he was going to come attack. Now, is this a good enough reason to attack a former governor's residence, someone who has served the people? Do you think a dead goat is a good enough reason, sir?
This is laughable in Nigeria. This is what you see in Nigerian in the Nigerian environment, and in what plays on in our minds. You know, the Nigerians that are down there, whom the government has refused to provide a proper education for, because I think they said one of the Yoruba or southwestern elites said that those children you refuse to send to school today, refuse to care for today, tomorrow will be your undoing. That at the time you will be sleeping in your house, they will make the streets uncomfortable for you. So the society is garbage in and garbage out. Whatever you throw in the society, you get back. As simple as that. If not for this story, and the funny one at that a revered or once revered family, first family of Benue State,
yes,
is in the news, in the public space for a funny story and reason, that is laughable. And that will show you that maybe the people he led at a time are still harboring some animosity, and some people have not forgiven them. You know, when people are in power, they use their power as they wish. You know, they arrogate people's lands, people's property, they demolish people's houses. You know, some of the, you know, inheritance, let me not say livelihood, inheritance of people are gone under this kind of governors that come in Nigeria, because you know the Land Use Act puts the land for the government to hold, for the governor to hold it in trust for the people. He did not say this is the government land. He said in case the government wants to make use of the place, there are channels through which you can interface with the person and get the land for the benefit of the society and not for personal use. So you cannot, what happened in Benue State in the action on the house of the former governor, Apa Aku, whom I have forgotten his name. If not for the story, I never even have to go and dig deep about him and how he led. So the people are still, just like, you know, they had one of the longest serving Senate presidents, that his tenure was not disturbed. What was the achievement in that particular area? What have we had the family or the daughter of Apa Aku, the Deborah, or the mother, making a statement about the killings of the people in Benue State, about all those, in as much as I stand to condemn with Esquire and other women in Nigerians, the action at his residence, but there are some things you can't wish away. You know, have they come as one of the first families in that state to make a statement either for or against the people?
Okay, but let's take a look at this again, because you stated, like, we kind of have all agreed that this is a laughable, the reason for this attack is very laughable. Seeing that things like this, of course, can result to attacks, don't you think that there's a need for protection for past office holders in the country, so that laughable incidents which have caused huge security breaches and huge conflicts, in
Nigeria we have a lot in our hands, not to you know, use the scarce resources we have to begin to protect somebody who has left office. When the person has left office, we ceases to be our tenants. We ceases to pay his bill. He's now on the retirement benefit.
So he's now on his own.
He's now on retirement benefit, and also there are some incentives that are accruing to them, which they could use to source themselves out. Let me give you an example. If the governor has done well, like the Esquire said, please, if you are in government, if you have opportunity to serve well, do the right thing, so that at the end of the day you will not be endangering your life and the life of your children and the life of your generation, because some people can harbor animosity against a particular public office holder for generations to come. Even your children can even suffer for only the pronouncement of your name, even related to your name, not even from same place. But once the sound of the name is heard, you begin to, you know, it brings back the fresh the wounds that seems to have been healed. But let me make this final submission. I am really sorry for the youths or the community that committed this. One, once it's a mob attack in Nigeria, I'm even surprised to hear from the learned personnel here that those actions are treasonable in nature. But in Nigeria, sir, in Nigeria, once it is a mob attack, there are some people, maybe the traditional institution or the member, a highly placed political office holder in that particular area, we go and be making statements that said, release our youths. They will go and ask the security agencies to release them. So people hide under the guise of mob, the crowd, you know, subjective crimes, you know, to now perpetuate those crimes. At the end of the day, they will go scot-free. Then, I am also pitying them in the sense that the governor, who is Father Alea, will use the resources that have been used to build a borehole or maybe maternity or civic center, or as the case may be, for the development of the community, to now rebuild this particular house. And all the, you know, Yorubas have a saying that when a king's house is burnt, or when a king's property is stolen, he will get a better one more than the 10 that was stolen. If you have a 16 inches television and it's stolen, you will go for 18 or 22 inches, as the case may be. So the monies that will be used in developing their area is what the government of the day will use in erecting a more befitting, what do you call it, building, home, and also furnishing it. At the end of the day, who loses at the end? Youth should be guided. Our community should be guided.
All right. Be guided. You have heard it. The process of selecting the 43rd Olubadan of Ibadan land to fill the vacant stool suffered a setback as the Otumbalogun Ibadan land, Oba Abimbola Ajibola, one of the kingmakers, on Tuesday distanced himself from the kingmakers who endorsed the Olubadan designate, Oba Owolabi Olakunlehin. He said this when speaking with newsmen at his Shanyon residence in Ibadan, that the Olubadan designate, Oba Olakunlehin, is not fit to assume the throne as a result of his age-related ailments as of now. A member of the family spoke in confidence to Vanguard, saying, "Members of our family mounted the Olubadan stool last about 160 years ago. In fact, many of us had not been born. Since then, we have not been able to produce Olubadan from our family. Now, when it becomes our turn, they start introducing new rules in the middle of a game. It is our turn. Simple. Our Olubadan is okay to mount the throne." This is quite an interesting case here in Oyo State regarding traditional rulers and mounting, occupying positions, the Olubadan position. Now, I'll begin with you, Esquire. Do you think that age-related ailments is a good reason to interject the mountain or the position of a traditional ruler?
Yes, because one needs his or her sanity to be able to administer a people.
Completely.
If the man is sick,
age-related.
Age-related.
Remember, it's a traditional ruler.
He might be going
position.
senile. Who knows? So, what I will advise...
And that's what has been alleged.
Yes, what I will advise the Ibadan people to do is to, first of all, decipher the true health position of the man in question, the Olubadan. If he is actually sick, and traditionally, because I know every locality have their traditional arrangement as to sitting on such highly exalted stool.
Yes.
Maybe it belongs to a particular family, or it is a rotational thing. So if it is believed that that particular family, it's their turn. If the man is not fit, somebody else in that family should represent that family. Because if you don't do that, there will be certain path for crisis. And in this, we can agree that in Nigeria today, we don't need crisis. We have had enough.
And we have enough in our hands already.
So, now, in this case, it's just one kingmaker that has come out to say that the Olubadan designate has an
age-related ailment.
The 4 others have made claims that he's hale and hearty, and that they saw him, they have seen him, and he's okay, and he's hale and hearty. So who do we believe? Because these are all allegations at this time.
If the Olubadan is hale and hearty, there is a perceived disagreement already. So he should come out and talk to the people.
Sure.
That saves the problem.
Yes.
Come out, address the community. Tell them I am hale and hearty. That will settle the crisis. Unless the kingmaker who is in dispute now, alleging of his age-related ailment, has something to tell us. Otherwise, the Olubadan should step out, gather the people and speak to them. You know, in Africa, we have this way of covering tracks. We've had experience in Nigeria when, you know, a president fell sick and died. So that should be signs, that should be lessons to us. If the man is sick, the man has age-related ailment, he has a son, he has brothers. He can in turn, depending on what their tradition allows, what the custom of the people there allows, they can nominate someone who will be on a representative capacity. In my place sometime, the king was sick, age-related. He was about 90-something there about then. And the son represented him very well. So that could be a way to preserve the honor of the family. Because it would be very, very wrong if it were me, I would not accept that. That is my father's turn to ascend this throne. And he is going senile if that be the case. And you want to take it from the family? No. We will say no to that. So they should tread with caution, and we will also, you know, call on the governor of Oyo State. He should intervene. The Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs in that state should form a team. They should look at these issues, gather the kingmakers together, look at what is going on with the man in question. Because if they don't intervene now, if crisis ensues, then it becomes a bigger challenge.
Okay, sir, if I interrupt, I'd like to have your take on this matter.
Esquire has made a lot of expose. I think the man who is alleging among the kingmakers should be listened to. Because if you have any dissent, you know, our problem in Nigeria is that when you have a dissenting voice, you say it's a minority. But in law, they say that a minority should be heard, should have his voice. So for him, there is a misgiving already. That means the camp is divided among the kingmakers. So we want to know why is he making such allegation. And from what I read, the man whose turn it is to mount the Olubado stool has not been seen in public, and he has not been even seen in a particular community or the family setting where he is heading, because the person is already a head of a particular traditional family. So he has not been seen in public space. He has not made any public speeches. So why are you hiding him? And this particular kingmaker who is raising this alarm is the Dora Akunyene of that particular enclave. Because who will bear the cat? That is the question. And somebody is coming to bear the cat. Listen to this person and find out the actual truth. Because if the coronation or the ascendance to that throne is shrouded in secrecy, at the end of the day, see, one thing in Nigeria you should understand is that people go for where their belly lies, where what they can get to feed their belly. Somebody want to be handling the handlers of they would be the Olubado now will be the beneficiaries. Why the people they will govern or the people he will be representing will suffer at the long run. So the people who are crying and insisting on the man taking the mantle, I'm not against it. Like the Esquire has said, let somebody step in, because some of them in this their tradition, they have up to 5 or 4 families that this traditional stool rotates in their families.
But then again, they have come out to say, you know, it is a popular thing right now in the Yoruba land, if I may say, Emilokon, it is my turn. And they've come out to say it is their turn, and everybody agrees that it is their turn.
No,
do you still think it is right?
No, it is not
for
about.
It to be rotated.
No, it is not about 10. It is rotating.
The man is alive.
No, it is being rotated. There's something Esquire said. If this family, they have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 royal houses. That's how it is done, even in the north. Some of them have the families that those people will be picked from. So these people now who are saying that since 160 years, you know, yes, a traditional stool, if the person will outlive until the person dies. Some of them will start when they are still teenagers.
Exactly.
So that is why most of them reign so long. So this particular family now have said that in 160 years plus, it has not gotten to our turn because of the longevity of the people who have been, as the other families who have been ascending the throne.
Yes.
Now it is their turn. Let somebody, the man who is his turn, would have a son or a brother from that particular family where the king should be picked from now. Let them not remove it from that particular family to avoid crisis.
Yes, we're saying the same thing. The man is still alive. The Olubadan designate is very much alive. Even though it is alleged that he has an age-related ailment. But the point is, he is alive and it is his turn. So should he be denied his turn?
No, you see, in administration, just like Esquire said, you have to be sane. Your health have to be top-notch. You are to interface with people. You are not on the stool for yourself. You are assuming that position for the benefit of the larger society. You are their voice. You interface both with government and with ancestors. And your words are law. Your words are commands. People look up to you. You are the representation of a stool, of a people, of a culture, of a religion. So it's not about the man. Let us remove it. It's not about him. If he's going in, even at a time, if he had ascended that throne and he's of questionable health and being frail and incapacitated as the case may be, he cannot continue to administer that particular area. You saw what happened he has cited the case of former President Yaradua. What of the one that have just left us?
That's a presidential position.
No, just the one that have left us. The governor that has left us. No, you're talking about health, where health plays a role.
For traditional rulers.
It plays an important role. Even for you to commune with the ancestors. Even for you to come out and make, there are celebrations that goes in and around each community each given year, maybe 3 times, 4 times a month, a year, and the traditional leader is required to come and interface with his people. How will you do that with it? Will you be sitting in your palace and somebody is doing rights? No. I say no to it. So the only thing that will solve the problem, let his son, or if he doesn't have a son, let his brother, unless if those who are agitating, I want to say, this voice now might be a saving grace for the entire people of Ibadan, a kingdom, because if at the end of the day this man ascends, peradventure he departs in less than a year, they have same crisis in appointing and all the fanfare that goes with burying an Oliver. Look at what is happening in the UK now. Queen lived as about 4 or 5 decades, is it not? The Queen Elizabeth that just passed. And today, his son is there, and you have seen the medical condition. And the time has been given. But if in their culture, it is for somebody else to take, because this ailment was not diagnosed today. So, look at now, the United Kingdom is already searching for a replacement. It's already making arrangements for a burial of a sitting king. So this is what you should have in your hands. So are they,
like you said, this diagnosis did not just come in. It's been there for King Charles.
King Charles, yes.
King Charles now. It's been there. Now that a diagnosis has been made, and alleged, because it's not been really cleared, for
the Olubadan designate.
Yes. Do you think he should still be denied? Because King Charles was not denied ascending the throne because of his ailment.
See,
that family shouldn't be denied their right.
Okay.
They shouldn't at all. And the Olubadan, like I reiterated earlier, should speak to the people. If he does that, it would save all the challenges.
not being shielded
Not
and
being
not being having.
shielded.
He's speaking to us by proxy.
Okay.
So what prevents him from coming out and said, "I'm hell and hearty"?
I'm hell, I'm hearty.
Oh, all right, so moving on, Kano State High Court has fixed April 17 to arraign the immediate past governor of the state, Abdullahi Ganduje, his wife, son, and 5 others for alleged bribery. Other defendants joined in the fresh suits include Umar Abdullahi Umar, Abubakar Bawuro, Jibrila Muhammad, Lamash Properties Limited, Safari Textile Limited, and Sage General Enterprises. Kano State government in the suit filed against the defendants said it has assembled 15 witnesses to testify against the defendants. Ganduje and the others will be arraigned on the 8th count bordering on a $413,000 bribery allegation, diversion and misappropriation of funds to the tune of 1.38 billion naira amongst others. This is quite a situation. Esquire, I'd like you to take a floor to react to this. Take the floor to react to this, because this is the breaking news at the moment concerning this case. It's been in the news. Everyone has been talking about it. Give us a legal insights to this.
Thank you very much. The arraignment of the former governor, the son, wife, and others, to me, I see it as a welcome development, because our leaders, still with impunity, they act recklessly when they are in power. So this should serve as deterrence to those that are in governance now. And looking at it from the legal angle, it has to do with public prosecution. Okay, the state at this point, wanting to prosecute a former governor who has been alleged to have committed a crime. Okay, so let us look at section 221 of the Constitution, sub 1, section 221 sub 1. That section gave the Attorney General of the state powers to institute criminal proceedings against anyone who is alleged to have committed an offense. And you know, going by the Nigerian factor, it is very disturbing that it is difficult to bring this high and mighty down. So for us to see a state, I think Kano is setting a lead in this direction. The governor, I commend his balls, because we mustn't continue doing things the way the previous people did it. There should be innovation in whatever we do, knowing that governance is all about the people. But in Nigeria, it has become a different thing altogether. So I commend what Kanu is doing. If Ganduje feels he hasn't committed a crime, because the position of the law is straight as to whomever alleges should prove. So the government of Kanu has alleged that Ganduje actually received bribe and somehow misappropriated the sum of 1.3 billion. Yes. So Ganduje should face trial and clear himself of the mess. That is the position of the law, and the law doesn't shield anyone. If you have been if you are alleged to have committed a crime, even though you run to the Supreme Court to shield you, no, the court at some point can enforce your fundamental rights if they have been breached, maybe unlawful detention and arrest or thereabout. But going to court to shield you from criminal prosecution, the Supreme Court have held otherwise. In the case of Nnamdi Kanu, it's a typical example. The court said, no, we cannot shield you from criminal prosecution. You need to go back and face trial. If you are innocent, prove it in court. So I commend what the Attorney General has done. I commend the Kano State government very highly. I commend them. And we will also encourage our governors in the south and east to toe such line. Because the stealing, the looting of public funds in this country is on the high side. These people steal our money with impunity. They will award contracts without recourse to the law. You see a governor paying out contract sum 100%.
And the work is not done.
That's crazy. Most times, they just pay out this money to contractors, and the contractors do a kickback, and the money is missing. You will find abandoned projects everywhere. So, I commend what they are doing, and we also we also call on governors in the south and east. They should toe some same line. If anyone have been alleged to, commit any offense, bring them to book. Instruct your Attorney General. Let them bring such a person, because you're a former governor doesn't make you better than other citizens. Ganduje, yes, him being the national chairman of APC today, the Nigerian factor may want to play, but we are watching. The world is watching. Maybe this case will set a new jurisprudence in Nigeria.
Now, talking about everyone watching, the world is watching. We all watched a video of Ganduje putting in dollars in his Babariga inquiry. Yes. So, do you think that seeing that video, him alone in the video doing that, do you think his wife and son should have been arraigned? I mean, we did not see a video of his wife or son putting in that.
No,
do you
from
think arraignment should have been?
From what is read out, the dollar is $413,000, while the arraignment of his child and wife and the other cronies is some of the contracts and some other monies that are missing in government cover that is worth billions of naira. So it's a two different case. So the children, the wife is being alleged, most of them even use their gatemen, their domestic workers, open bank accounts in their names without their knowledge. They will just bring your passport and your name. They open, and you are not signatory to it. So most of our banks here, the bank directors and the MDs, they are culpable, because those monies don't fly out. Those monies are channeled before you pay money into a designated account. It must be through a bank. So, like Esquire said, the area I want to look at it is that they have forensic experts who had already done due diligence in the work and found out that it was true. The only thing that prevented Ganduje from going on trial, or from, despite the fact that he later contested for his second tenure, this is the Nigerian factor, and the INEC cannot stop somebody from contesting on an allegation that has not been proven beyond reasonable doubt. Ganduje has not been convicted by a competent court of jurisdiction according to the crime he committed. So INEC whatsoever, according to the Electoral Act, cannot stop him from continuing. And he shielded himself with the immunity clause that the Constitution gave to the governors and the deputies and president and vice president, as the case may be. So now he is not covered in immunity. That is why we say, just like we said when we spoke about Upper Aku of Benue State, when you have an opportunity to govern, do it with the human face. At the end of the day, you don't have anything to fear. Look at what he has, the embarrassment he's bringing his. And I know APC very well. Before you know it, people will be calling for his resignation, that he should step aside, because he is the face, he is the image maker of the party. So once they are dragging the party to the mud, now people will call for him to go. And he is not an orator, he is not a charismatic leader, he is just by sheer opportunity that, any outgoing governor likes to bring someone that will cover his tracks. That is why Kwankwaso brought him. At the end of the day, they fell out. So if he has a case, let him go and have his day in the courts. Again, the former governor of Kano State, Ganduje, should know that any governor that has left the corridors of power, their children and their wives are already. You saw what happened in Ondo State just yesterday, when the wife of the governor, due to the alien nature of the governor, started arrogating the de facto power unto herself with some of the commissioners, the kitchen cabinet of the late Akredolu. And you cannot say that is not the case of the roles that. What is the office of the? See, what is the office of the first lady? What is the office of the first lady in Nigeria? Is it created by the constitution? So you cannot remove the monies that have passed through that channel to say you're touching lives. At the end of the day, you're alleviating poverty, but the poverty is coming up. So Ganduje, in this case, cannot be shielded. And there is a mistake. I am happy to hear my learned colleague here say that what happened is that the Attorney General has power to start a prosecution process. But in this case, the mistake that the Kano state government is doing is that they set another anti-graft, commission through the instrumentality of the State House of Assembly, which has no power, and that is where Ganduje is hinching. You understand? So I don't know their powers.
Yes, Mr. Ugo, I differ a little with your position. The state governments have powers under the Constitution to set up its anti-graft commission.
Okay, why are they contesting it?
It does, but okay, we'll come back to that. Let's go on a very short break. And when we're back, the conversation still continues right here on Atlantic Blowout. Stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social economy, sports, and documentary. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on The Fact Today, only on ATN.
Blowout. No fewer than 1,000 people have been rendered homeless following a heavy rainstorm in Iyara community headquarters of Ijumu local government area of Kogi State. It was gathered that the incident occurred on Monday night. Speaking shortly after the disaster, the Elector Oluyara of Iyara, Oba Jacob Medoten, called on the government's well-to-do individuals and corporate bodies to assist the victims to ameliorate their sufferings. Meanwhile, the Kogi state government has appealed to the people of the state to take precautions as the rainy season is fast approaching. This is quite a sad situation in Kogi state, the rainfall, looking at the climate change. Mr. Ugochukwu, how do you feel, what do you think that the government in Kogi State can do to help its citizens, its indigents, go through this sad phase right now?
When I heard this story, it's a sad one, but this is nature. You know, nature playing its role on humanity, and Kogi state government will not exonerate herself, because it is not today that before you come into governance, you must be prepared. You must know the terrain and the topography of where you want to govern. You know, it's not that I want to be governor, I want to be local government chairman, without understanding the advantages and disadvantages and your area of strength. I mean, the area of strength of your particular locality and the areas you have comparative advantage. These are some of the things we are talking about, those so-called leaders who assume positions of authority without, studying the particular environment where they want to govern. If you are marrying a new wife, as the case may be, the lady in question comes in during courtship and begin to, know the areas, the corners of the house and the room. You don't expect the person to just bump in and know everything. But if you are gearing up for an elective position, you must interface with the people. You must be abreast of the going-ons in the particular society you want to govern. You must, equip yourself with the knowledge. When you're speaking, you speak from the area of authority. That this is what I want to do. These are the areas I want to focus during my administration. The ecological problem in Nigeria is really a means of making money for those in government. Let me tell you, the ecological funds in Nigeria run into personal pockets. This is what ecological fund would have done, would have taken care of in so many years in that particular area. If you go to Imo State, they get ecological funding. But what are they doing with it? If something happens, they will start calling, we call on the federal government, we call what of the monies that are accruing to the states on the ecological funds? What are they doing with it? What are the counterpart fundings? All the monies that are coming from foreign donors to nick in the bud the sufferings of those people. This particular rainfall has created an avenue for some government officials to make money. They will go and give handouts. They will buy bags of rice, buy what do you call it, blankets, buy mats, and go and share them, and the monies are gone.
But the relief is very important.
The relief.
At this time,
no, what we see.
Don't you think that the relief is important?
No, why I don't see the relief as important now is that these people have been living in this particular location, and the government knows what their problems are. How had the government this calls to mind when you talk about the climate change? How is Nigeria taking seriously the problem of climate change? Are the world leaders sincere about the climate change? I don't know whether you were in Port Harcourt yesterday and you saw you witnessed the sun ray that the heavens unleashed on us. This is part of it. What are the government making concerted effort to say, okay, we take a clue from the sun that we saw yesterday? Where are the parks? Where are the areas that government has built shopping malls, has built recreational centers where people can go and get themselves, their temperature cooled?
Okay, so what do you think the Kogi State government right
no,
now?
the Kogi State governors, there is nothing to advise them. Because tomorrow it will still happen. There is nothing to advise Kogi State. The only thing I'm saying is that in Sena climes, let me give you an example. In the Philippines, in Indonesia, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, they have such things. When they call the typhoon will come, they are prepared. I read the whole script. They are talking about they have advised people to move to the highlands. Where are the preparations? Those countries, I'm saying that before those things come, the meteorologists have advised them, telling them they have Typhoon 1 in Philippines, which I am a citizen of the place. You have Typhoon 2, you have Typhoon 3. You have the time that the children in primary school will not be allowed to go to school, because they can't take care of themselves. But secondary school students will be allowed to go to school because they can withstand the type of cold that will come. When it gets to the second level, the government will announce secondary school children should not go out.
So you're saying
then these people,
there
is no preparation, because this type of climate condition has been staying with the people. And if you are saying people now move to the highlands, where are they going? The government will say, go and live with your family, friends, with those people. Have they provided tents? The tents that they use in Qatar 2022, they donated it to some countries that I need. The Nigerian government apply for them to donate those tents to them, so that in this emergency situation, you must have made an arrangement where people will go and stay for the meantime. When that particular season is off, you ask them to go back. And again, look at let me tell you, Israel is about to attack Rafah, which is the last stronghold of Hamas. And Israel, in telling the world that we want to know what is in Rafah, they have been making arrangement to procure 400,000 tents to go to the other places and erect it and allow the civilians to be evacuated. These are what we call government and people that are thinking for the welfare of the people, though they are fighting an enemy. But the world has been crying the casualty number of civilians. And this will say, don't worry. We are the people that told them to move to Rafah. Now they are making an arrangement for people to be evacuated to Rafah, to another place where they will know, where the temperature or their living standard will not be next to that of animal. So in Kogi State, the previous governments, drawing it back home, what are the concerted efforts they have made over time knowing that these people in this particular geographical location are prone to such natural disasters. They have done none, so what am I advising them for?
Okay. Now, you see that the United Nations has heavily focused on on climate change. The SDGs this year, the major theme of the SDGs this year was highly focused on climate change. We had a lot of people who went on as representatives here in Nigeria, from West Africa, especially here in Nigeria. The federal government has been heavy on climate change this year. Do you think that the federal government is making or taking great measures in, curtailing or, preserving or making it possible for the changes that are very obvious in the climate this time and this season to be, easy on the people?
The answer will be no. Because the federal government of Nigeria, they do not have the political will.
Even with the amount of delegates sent this year.
We have had...
They appeared in the cameras.
They send different delegates abroad for seminars, conferences. What were the impacts? What were the results? Zero. They are good in planning, but they don't implement. They don't have the political will. Look, see, disaster management in Nigeria is 0/100. Completely. Nigeria is faced with these natural disasters time to time. Okay? Why wait till they happen before we start running around?
Okay.
What is the role of National Emergency Management Agency?
No, it's to buy rice and blankets.
They only wait for this thing to happen. They will now use that avenue to steal our money.
That's it.
See, I will advocate that the federal government, even they should replicate it up to the level of the local government system in Nigeria. They should have not just the NEMA, because the NEMA have failed completely. They should have a disaster management agency. Equip them, buy tents, buy blankets, even store foods. Because knowing that Nigeria is faced with these challenges, the coastal communities, now the rain is coming.
So are you saying another disaster management agency would be the solution?
No, it's already existing.
It is already
existing. It's to make take it to the local government.
They should replicate it to the local
states
government,
and local government. That's what it's saying.
States and local government.
Yes.
As a way of being prepared. The level of preparedness is just zero. They are not prepared with anything. So going by the question you asked, I don't personally trust the federal government of Nigeria. I don't. They don't have the political will to do anything for the people. And they are not really, there for the interest of the people. If you ask me, okay, it has happened, right? You see budgetary allocations for NEMA, the excess budgets, and at the end of the day, these less privileged people, these affected people will have miniature from this thing.
No,
so why not prepare?
No, let's compare this government's impact. Let's compare it with the previous government's impact. Can't we say that this current government is doing quite visible things or making visible strides to help with the obvious climate changes?
Where are the trees they planted? Because if you are talking of climate change, you should look at what will ameliorate it. And one of the ways of doing that is planting good trees to stem the pressure of the heat on the people. Dredging our waterways. Because time to time this water keep rising.
Yes.
And the last administration were busy talking about dredging the highway, dredging River Niger.
The river and all that.
They ended. Even we learned that
they even said Uguta Lake will be dredged.
Feasibility study was done with a huge amount of money, ranging in dollars.
Yes.
And it was kept.
Nobody calls it back to know what's happened.
So if you look at how Sena Climbs have done this, like, you know, when Hurricane Katrina happened in America, they were prepared. You see them evacuating people
immediately to save grants.
Who says that?
Save grants.
For example, here in Rivers State,
so I should advise them.
We cannot have a permanent location.
When is the opportunity to make money?
Permanent location for some of these disasters when they happen. When they happen, we know that, okay, maybe Elele
there is a camp already.
A camp is designated.
That's how it happens.
For this, so that when it happens, because definitely they must happen.
It's a yearly occurrence.
They are natural occurrences.
And yearly, for that matter.
We do not have the powers to stop them.
Yes.
Okay. Prepare a place so that when it happens, you just evacuate people there.
After the whole thing, people come back.
So why run around now that it has happened? So anyway, we will not encourage the government to abandon the people at this time. It has happened. We know the government of Nigeria, there are lots of flaws. They don't care much about the people. But now that it has happened, they should be proactive. That should be a reason for Kogi State government now to prepare for future occurrences. They should roll out packages that will help cushion the effect of what has happened, like tents, blankets, foodstuffs, antibiotics, because definitely people will fall sick. There should even be a mobile hospital stationed in some of these proposed locations to look at the health condition of the people. See, government ordinarily should be about the people. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case, and it is so shameful.
And all our resources and everything.
All the resources.
Okay.
So you see,
yes, you've been interjecting
yes,
in information.
Yes, what I want to say is like what Barrister said about being proactive. Once it happens now, there is nothing like being proactive. But in their reactive nature, they should be quick.
They should be quick.
In their reactive nature, because this has happened already. The handouts that they are used to giving Nigerians and making their own big chunk of it, let them give the people the ones they want to give to them. And I'm also calling on the federal government to probe the ecological funds they are sending to those natural disaster prone states. Find out what those governors are doing with this money. Just like the monies you give a governor for, what do they call it, security votes. Yeah. Security vote not captured in the constitution, not even meant for the people to know how much is it, how it's being disbursed is heaven knows how. At the end of the day, you cannot account for it. You can't even question a governor about security vote. What of ecological funds that is being disbursed with other humanitarian agencies abroad and within the country? You saw how when COVID came, COVID, the MFLA of this world made their monies. Those who were in charge of it made their monies. NDDC and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs were sharing food when children were at home. They were lodging in the hotels. When to do work, when the government said sit at home, be in your confines, a sitting prime minister in UK was removed because the people asked him, you asked us to go and stay at home and you had time to party. But those people, those dramas they played in the House of Assembly and during the President Muhammadu Buhari former ordered forensic auditing, where did we see the outcome? So this is what we are saying. If Nigeria want to be, you said we went to Qatar, send delegates. If we want to be a country that want to fight climate change, Barrister has mentioned the ones is that what of emission, gas emission? What of Nigeria is not talking about green gas. We are still using charcoal. The cars in our roads are not roadworthy. They are even, I don't know when last in Nigeria there's a promulgation of the law that says a car should be off-road. You do hear that, Ba? That this car should be, what are the duties of a VIO? The states has taken over the VIO to their states and making internally generated revenues. Then what do you call it? Road safety is there, and all those people. My dear, which one are we saying and which one? But in Philippines, let me tell you, there are some designated areas. They don't build structures, you know, what do you call it? Block structures or structures that will cost you a lot of money. They do what we call makeshift buildings, because each year the typhoon will come and will sweep those things away. So that the government and the people don't waste their time spending humongous amount of money. They call these places settlements. So that at the end of the year, when typhoon takes the one it will take, they will be evacuated to a highland, and at the end of the time they will just come and it won't take government little or nothing to erect buildings for them. They stay there for the meantime. When the time comes again for that typhoon, they evacuate. This is how it is. Not that at the end of the day, if this particular area is prone to this natural disaster by rain, government will go and reconstruct buildings, and all people will make their monies from there. Next year again, the rains are coming, Barrister, and the Cameroon will soon open their dam. They made the arrangement to build the dam with Nigeria same year, so that Nigeria will collect it. Where is from Shagari's regime? Where did Nigeria do their dam to collect? If Cameroon opens, they say, Cameroon is opening, but you are aware that Cameroon will open. Those places like Bayelsa and other places that are prone to these waters that will be released from Cameroon later in the year. What is the government doing now? Now is to prepare where to take these people, designated areas, so that at the end of the day there will be no loss of life, properties, and people's means of livelihood. This is what we are saying. In Nigeria, Nigerian government have not started. We have not started governance in Nigeria.
All right, let's move on to the next story. A mysterious illness has emerged in Issa local government area of Sokoto State, leaving both health authorities and community leaders confused. According to Dr. Jide Idris, Director General of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, the strange illness was first reported to the agency on March 21, 2024. The illness manifested with symptoms such as abdominal distension, fever, vomiting, and weight loss, primarily afflicting children aged 4 to 13, along with some adults. As investigation into the disease continues, the NCDC boss, who has urged vigilance within affected communities, emphasizing prompt reporting of symptoms to healthcare facilities or designated authorities. Now, I'll begin with you, sir. Do you think the NCDC is capable of curtailing this strange, mysterious illness? Do you think it's going to be able to capture it to avoid the COVID situation?
Yes, I think they are able, because we'll start by commending them during the COVID era. They did marvelously well. Okay, so, but I have a concern about this this ailment in Sokoto. Okay, from the report we read, it was reported that sometime they did diagnosis of this ailment, and they didn't do further investigation as to what were the root causes of this ailment. Because if they had done deeper re-examination of what the root causes were, possibly results would have been out. As it broke out again, they will be more prepared. So it then returns back to what we keep saying about preparedness. We like it whenever it breaks out. Then we'll start running around looking for solution, calling for foreign expertise and all that. What stops us then that the ailment broke out some time ago? They just did diagnosis from the report we read. and they didn't do further investigation. That is professionally wrong. It would be proper that, having done the diagnosis, you saw that persons, citizens, or maybe persons from that local government have been diagnosed of this suspected ailment. Why not dig deeper, embark on researches to know what is the root cause of this ailment? At that point, the NCDC, in conjunction with Federal Ministry of Health, would have collaborated properly to know what actually happened, what can be done to avert this ailment when it breaks out again. Because for it to have broken out then, and it disappeared on its own from what we read, it shows that it's hidden somewhere.
Yes.
The root cause have not been identified. Because for you to solve a problem, you first of all identify what actually happened. What is the root cause of this ailment? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from an insect? Is it an airborne disease? Or is it water related? By the time the result is known, at that point, the health professionals in NCDC, they will do proper examination, testing and all that as a way or a mechanism to preparing for the future outbreak.
Okay, the barrister just spoke about preparedness. Do you think that the NCDC is prepared to curtail and arrest this mysterious illness in Sokoto State at the moment?
NCDC is an organ of the Nigerian state. And Nigerian state in their nature is always reactionary. And that is the bane. You know, when there is no war, is when any send military section or military battalion will be preparing for the worst war. When there is no sickness for you to start running around that will sap your energy in going to cushion it or deal with it, is the rightful time for you to now take an en route into some of the cases you have already had and try to make further research, just like a barrister said. Not that time you are already being confronted by it. It makes you to be agitated. There is little or nothing you can do. You're only looking for something to cushion it immediately. So once we had Ebola, we also had the COVID. Some ailment, they say this is epidemic, this is pandemic and all that. In that small locality, what prevents them from taking the sample? And when you come to Sokoto or that northern area, there are ailments or like an outbreak like this is mainly through airborne or water because of the nature of the water that they make use of. So the NCDC should be in the know. They should expect those things every year, and especially now that the climate change, you can't predict it. I don't know whether you have been. I also want to say that since President President Bola Ahmed Tinubu removed fuel subsidy, at least some of us can sleep in our compounds, because some people now, the economy has conditioned them in making use of their generator, because you could see that the noise pollution and all those things have really come down to the barest minimum, if there is something like that. So in that part of the world, they are not known to be making use of generator. You can't say that it is from the smoke of the generator. So you prioritize your area of examination, airborne and water. And when you prioritize it, you meet the locals. You know, in Nigeria, I don't want to say Africa, because if I've been to some African countries where they still value their traditional medicine system. It was here when Professor Professor Morris Iwu during the COVID said he has a vaccine.
So are you suggesting that the NCDC takes on the traditional?
No, the NCDC should liaise with the traditional. The medicine the pharmacist is producing is also from the local roots. What are you not saying? Because those people have been battling with this type of ailment over time. It is not new. And some of them, their traditional medicine men give them cure to eat. So if you can get a cure, why we are seeing them in this proportional measure now is because of, movement, and the world is evolving. You understand? The world is evolving. So when there is, how those ailments are being transmitted is by human movements, interactions. Somebody might be coming from a small locality. When you go to one market, you spread it. When you have a relationship with somebody, maybe you're using the same cup to drink water and all that, it festers. So the NCDC should have known all those things. They are experts. Liaise with the local and the traditional authorities there.
So you currently do not think they are prepared enough to take on this ailment?
If they are prepared to take on, like the barrister said, they should have been able to do further research and to start, manufacturing either vaccine or the drugs that those particular people will be given at a certain point in time in the year. If it is waterborne, if it is airborne, when they have excess breeze and all that can bring about such ailment, and you begin to cushion it, not allowing the thing to fester, and you begin to run around in a haste.
Do you agree that a traditional approach should be taken by the NCDC? Should be one of the measures?
Well, I may not totally agree, because that is it's a jurisdictional thing. The medical professionals and the health professionals at that level, they should look at both approaches and come up with, the best and acceptable way of managing medical conditions in the country. So I may not know much about the traditional medicine, and I am not duty bound to speak more.
See, I want to say something.
Okay.
When you bring about traditional medicine.
Okay.
See, I'm not playing to the gallery. What if after this program, go and make your research and know what the pharmacists, those who produce drugs and medicines, what they use. Forget about the other thing that they add. But what I'm telling you is that there are some elements of tradition, roots that they use. And again,
we're not disputing.
Yeah, and again,
I'm asking. You need to understand my question. I'm asking if you think that the traditional approach should be taken on by the
yes, the traditional approach should be taken.
I'm not saying that it is bad or good, or I'm thinking.
Yes, but what I want to say, why I'm saying that is that some countries combine the both, and it's working. Even some of our allies that go to, when they say go for transplant, I don't want to patronize other nations, but from the area of, when you go to Asia, when you go to the Asian world and the Latin America, you will understand very well what role the traditional medicine. I have a friend, a friend's father, who traveled. He has this boy like hunchback. Do you know that after the money he spent and went to India, he was, big men fear death. So he was taking his time, thinking that he will go under the knife. The shocking thing to him, to his own amazement, he went there, prepared with his money. The only money he spent was the money he spent his logistics. When it was time for him to be operated upon, it was just a leaf that was dropped on that thing and it disappeared. I had an ailment. I was diagnosed. No, yes, I was diagnosed. Okay. I went to the hospital. You know how much they told me that I would be using in curing myself. But I went to the traditional medicine, and it was once medicine that I took, and the thing disappeared.
So you are saying that
they should work in synergy.
All right. Let's move on to the next story. The Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values, Olushola Fatoba, has canvassed support for the manufacturing sector to discourage imports and boost the country's economy. The lawmaker representing Ado, Irepodun, Ifelodun local government areas of Ekiti State in the National Assembly spoke during a chat with journalists in Ado Ekiti, Ekiti State capital, on Tuesday. He said reopening the borders will not solve the economic crisis the nation has found itself, but it will rather cripple the country. I am not an advocate or a supporter of opening of our borders for foreign goods to be brought into our country. Mr. Ifeanyichukwu Sunday, Ugochukwu, please, what do you think about this thoughts that the House of Reps member has shared?
I wouldn't want to dive so much into it. I'll just roll out some bullet points. Okay. See, I spoke extensively in one of your sister television stations when the borders were closed and opened. One, the Muhammadu Buhari's administration got it wrong by closing the borders and opening it because Nigeria is not known to have the capacity of feeding her citizens. Then when you opened it, during the closure, you remember former Transportation Minister Rotimi Amechi said after the attack on the train from Abuja to Kaduna, he said that CCTV cameras were bought and they were left, they were never mounted, they wasted away. So in this particular issue, now, these particular borders that have been closed and reopened, what has the government achieved by closing it? Then has there been improvement in food production in Nigeria? Because before you think about Nigeria prioritizing production of food, you have to deal with insecurity, which is the bane. You have to provide soft loans for the farmers, subsidize the fertilizer, and also look at the loans that you are giving. Is it a loan that is that will help the farmers to achieve food sufficiency? Then, if those things are not in place, I don't think that what the House of Representatives member is saying is anything to be listened to, while we have the opportunity to get food from our neighboring countries. So at the end of the day, at least Nigerians will feed, then have the capacity of planning how to improve our production capacity.
All right. Over to you, sir. Do you think reopening the borders would have a good impact or bad impact? What impact do you think reopening the borders would bring into the country economy, or would do for the country?
Firstly, we should look at the security implication, considering that Nigeria is grappling with the worst insecurity on earth now. I think from the records, we are among the first 5. So, reopening the border, fine. Foreign goods will be made to come into the country. But another question we will ask is, our custom and other security agencies in the border, do they have the wherewithal to check properly what comes into the country and what leaves the country? This is a vital concern we should look at. Like the borders, the border in the northeast and all that, bordering nation with Cameroon and the other Sahel communities. I don't believe there's a border there. No border. So when we hear border is closed,
the only border that was closed was semi-border.
Semi-border, as far as I'm concerned.
There were goods flying everywhere in Nigeria.
The border in the north, central, and
nobody
all
talks
that
about it.
is just a free flow. There is no border there because we do not even have the security personnel posted there. So it will be proper before we reopen. There should be proper security checks and balances. CCTV should be there. Personnel should be trained on how to manage security softwares and facilities that will be mounted on the border. Then there should be radical production and also radical farming. Before we do that, all this need to be on the table. Not just, you know, we find ourselves in a country where they just talk too much and little implementation. Encourage production. Encourage the manufacturers. Some of them are leaving. Bring down the prices of, you know, what will help the producers produce.
All right.
And the power sector need to be looked into.
All right, this is how far and how much we can go on this conversation. Thank you so much, Mr. Ifeanyi Chukwu Ugochukwu, for coming by and for joining in this conversation.
It's always a pleasure.
It's such a great pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
I look forward to having you again sometime.
God willing.
Yes. Okay, so this is how far we can go on Atlantic Blowout today. It's been quite an amazing time discussing these issues with you. This is where we wrap it up on today's episode of Blowout. Stay connected on ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for joining me today. I am Divine Bernard.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara